So this was a full PPR snake draft. Let's take a look at round one because we had a surprise at number one. Nothing egregious or anything, but when Lawrence is making the number one overall pick, he goes by not consensus, he goes by what he believes. And he took Jahmyr Gibbs, number one overall, Matthew.
Yeah, you know what? What's surprising to me, just specific to Lawrence real quickly, is that, that he didn't take Kyle Pitts or Bijan or Anthony Richardson, all of his guys. But in all seriousness,
Donovan Peoples-Jones?
But he is a Falcons fan. So the fact that he did not take Bijan Robinson, who is a legit consideration at one, versus Jahmyr Gibbs. I will say this, having done a number of drafts with Lawrence, he is truly a get your guys kind of guy. He doesn't care about ADP. Right. And I don't think there's any argument, like I don't have Jahmyr Gibbs at number one, but I also don't hate it. Like there's no him being the number one player in fantasy football is certainly within the range of outcomes. He's played 32 NFL games in his career. He has 31 touchdowns. He was awesome down the stretch last year. You expect them to use him more. He was happy and excited at the Hall of Fame game when I talked to him before the game. Like I was on the field and I was like, "Hey, how are we feeling about this year?" He's like, I'm excited.
So was his quarterback.
His quarterback was when I talked to Goff. He's like, "Yeah, we've got a few more, red zone looks for Gibbs as well." Montgomery's still going to be involved, but it's such an explosive offense, such a good offensive line, and he's such a special talent. I don't hate the pick.
Yeah, better than Lawrence's previous number one picks that we've been around for drafts, certainly, pushing the Anthony Richardson agenda. But no, look, I don't mind taking the guy that you want at number one when he's in that range of guys, and you're not going to get Jahmyr Gibbs on the way back, so he wants to get Jahmyr Gibbs. I just think that the thing with Jahmyr Gibbs is where do we set the over-under for how many carries per game Dave Montgomery's going to get? Because if it's 8.5, sure. But if it's 13.5, then he's probably not going to be the number one guy.
Right. Although the counter to that is, how many touches does Jahmyr Gibbs need?
Right.
He's not a guy whose game is based on volume the way some other players are, Connor.
No, he is so effective in the pass game that also gives you a giant boost out of the game. He's one of the reason why he warrants going number one, in my opinion. If I wanted to go running back with the number one overall pick, this is probably the direction I would go, and I would highly consider
Bijan.
it.
I'd go Bijan.
Right,
but,
one of the two.
Yeah.
I like the correction, by the way, Bijan.
Bijan.
It's really settling in.
Yes, it is. I have Bijan at one. I have Gibbs at two. So obviously, I'm pro Gibbs this year.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is crazy at all because he's explosive talent. I'm fine with the volume. I'm not really worried about David Montgomery at this stage. I just think Gibbs is so effective with the touches he gets.
The thing with Montgomery is they gave him an extension, and he's going to be around for a while. And I think he's just a big part of this offense. They have a brutal schedule as well. They won 15 games last year. They're probably not going to do that again. I get it with Gibbs. I get that he's clearly a top 3 running back.
Yeah.
It's just that I'd be more partial to Bijan at number
No
one.
running back had more weeks as a top 12 running back, i.e. an RB1. No running back had more weeks as a top 12 running back last year than Jahmyr Gibbs. He had 11 different weeks where he was an RB1 for the week, and a lot of that was with David Montgomery in the lineup. So, obviously the last couple of weeks down the stretch, but he was the only player in the NFL last year. I gave this stat out on Football Night in America, but he was the only player in the NFL last year to have at least 70 yards every single game of the season last year, right? And so, I don't know, 10 different games with 18 or more fantasy points, tied for most among running backs. I have Jamar Chase at number one. If I'd gone running back at number one, I'm taking Bijan Robinson. But having been in a lot of drafts and seen a lot of crazy picks from Lawrence, this one I don't hate at all. I got no issue with this. And to your point, Jay, I'll just say this very quickly. I get that question a lot. I've got pick 4, but I really love Puka. Or is this too early for this guy? Right? Hey, Matthew, you've got Gibbs at 4. Is it too early for me to take Gibbs at 1 overall? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
He's never coming back around to you. So if you want Jahmyr Gibbs this year, that's where you got to take him. And I don't know how Lawrence would win, if Lawrence wins or loses this league, but he's not going to lose this league because Jahmyr Gibbs is his first running back. You know what I mean? So take your guys. I'm a big believer in this.
We got a comment from Juan Vertiz. I don't like taking running back with my first pick because they are more likely to get injured than other positions, and it can sink your season.
Sure, but it's a violent game. That's true with any player. That would be the argument for not taking Derrick Henry last year or James Conner or something. And they all stayed healthy relatively. Other than McCaffrey, most of the big name running backs stayed pretty healthy last year.
Yeah, I think on average, running back, just the attrition rate is the average starting running back will miss a median 2 games per season, which is material, but also it's not like they on average miss, more than a month. So wide receivers generally more stable in terms of projecting production, in terms of health, but it's not like the gap is that significant. And when you're talking as well about guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, like these are young guys who have less injury risk than, say, a Saquon or a Christian McCaffrey.
The other thing I will say is, like, if you're going to take a running back, to your point, Juan, about, like, if you are going to take a running back early, you like those running backs that are involved in the passing game, that aren't going up the middle off tackle 18 times a game. So guys like Gibbs or Bijan or McCaffrey that can get in space where a lot of their touches are going to be targets. And we always talk about this, targets more valuable than carries.
Let's look at round one more time, because back to that point, and yes, running backs are more likely to get hurt, but guys, Nico Collins had a hamstring last year for multiple games. Puka Nakua's been banged up in his young career already. Malik Neighbors right now has been missing a ton of time in camp. It's some kind of foot or toe injury. He's been banged up. He was banged up as a rookie as well. McCaffrey, obviously, that's a running back, but we know his injury history. And then Justin Jefferson has missed time in camp. So I just think players get hurt in the NFL. If you think a guy's a great talent and warrants the pick, I wouldn't get too tied up in not taking a running back.
But superfan Eric Lindbergh taking McCaffrey at 7, I think that's a steal. I'm surprised he lasts that long. I get the injury concerns on McCaffrey, but again, it's true with any player in the NFL. If McCaffrey's right, if I could guarantee you today that Chris McCaffrey plays every game this season, he's the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I would take McCaffrey 3.
That's where I have him.
Bijan and Jamar Chase. I just think that
you guys are not afraid of the injury risk at his, not necessarily age, but the career touches. I am. I really want nothing to do with McCaffrey at that cost, just because it could sink your season very easily.
Yeah, I think the thing with McCaffrey is that the injuries that he dealt with last year, it's like Achilles tendonitis, and then he did his PCL, which is kind of an isolated incident. It's not so much that he has a degenerative condition like Todd Gurley had. And I think that McCaffrey, with the way that he takes care of his body, with the way that he trains, by all accounts, he looks incredible in training camp, as though he's back to normal. So I think that for the most part, running back injuries, when you don't have a degenerative condition, it's more just about randomness. Like, is your foot going to get stuck under a lineman or whatever? And so I don't think McCaffrey's injury risk is materially higher than like Saquon.
And this is going to sound insane, but one of the reasons why he didn't come back, remember last year he was supposed to? And so again, talking to a team source, the same one that said, oh, by the way, don't be surprised if Jordan Maiden gets traded, and then he did. That was, my some of the things for my combine. Asked him about McCaffrey, and he said one of the issues last year was actually McCaffrey tried too hard to come back. He actually did too much. He was so desperate to come back and pushed it too hard that it actually sort of set him back a little bit. And so you sort of love that, wish it hadn't happened, but you do love that attitude. And so obviously he's gotten on the right schedule. He's gotten the right people around him, and they are fully confident. Like, the 49ers have Super Bowl aspirations, and if you have Super Bowl aspirations and you're worried at all about McCaffrey's health, you don't trade Jordan Mason, who's been so much better than any other of the backups that they've had.
Yeah, and also, I know there's some speculation, maybe they'll manage McCaffrey a little bit off of the injuries and his age. When does that ever happen? When does superstar running backs get managed? They just run them into the ground until they break or they don't break. What was Kyle Shanahan? Game's on the line. Oh, McCaffrey, sorry, you're due to sit out for this series. No, you're just going to play him. Yeah. He's just going to get a lot of touches, particularly early in the season, where it's there's not, with Brandon Ayuk being out, with not much depth at running back in terms of guys that you feel super confident about. I think he's just going to get the work.
But by the way, and throw that, can you throw Steven, throw the first round up on the screen here real quickly. I just want to show you something. To your point about, there's always risk. I could pick apart every single one of these picks just very quickly. We talked about Gibbs and Montgomery. We love Jamar Chase, but you know what? Number 1 wide receiver, shout out to Mike Clay, who pointed this out. Number 1 wide receivers have had trouble repeating, right? Jefferson's got a rookie quarterback. We don't know what that looks like. Bijan Robinson, again, suddenly Tyler Algier is going to wind up with 1,000 yards, right? And, we don't know what this offense looks like in full season with Penix. CeeDee Lamb, again, Dak, right? Saquon with all the touches. McCaffrey, you mentioned Neighbors. Mon-Ra St. Brown. Does Jameson Williams take more touches away from him? Ashton Gentry, he's a rookie. We haven't seen him.
Team's got a 6.5 win total.
Nico Collins has had injury issues. And then you get to Puka Nacua, and I want to talk about Puka here.
Let's talk about that situation.
Yeah, at 11 here. Because with Puka, not only has he been injured, but now you're dealing with Stafford. And if I told you that, oh, by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play 6 games this year, I'm making up a number. If I told you right now that Stafford's missing 6 games this year, how confident are you in Puka Nacua, who has to deal with his own injury history? He's missed games every year of his NFL career. And oh, by the way, Davante Adams,
Right.
who has basically throughout his career earned a 30% target share. Like it's something like 29.7 or something insane. Like Davante Adams' career target share is massive, and we always talk about how you earn targets. Like if Davante Adams is on the field, he's going to get open, he's going to earn targets. So how confident do you feel about Puka at 11?
Yeah, particularly if it's Jimmy G at quarterback, because if Davante doesn't get targets from Jimmy G, he's going to kill him in the locker room based on
Or
what
he gets
went down.
hospital balls.
Yeah, indeed.
Which happened in practice already.
I think going back to like the wide
I'm
receiver
just saying
running
is
back
I think
thing,
you can nitpick anyone. Like
Sure.
I feel safer about CeeDee Lamb and maybe a couple others, but there's always questions about what Dallas is going to look like this year. Does Pickens take stuff away from Lamb? Blah, blah.
I think with the running back, I think that Puka Nacua is a bigger injury risk than Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs, just with the fact that he has been banged up in the NFL. And also, he plays like a running back. Like, he plays the most violent wide receiver style in the league. I do think that in terms of his immunity to Stafford being hurt, like, he does get a lot of design touches, a lot of screen, a lot of short stuff, but still, it's a concern with Stafford. It's a huge drop off to Jimmy G if that's the case. And also, even so, I thought Stafford showed signs of decline last year as well, even without the injury stuff this year. So some red flags around Puka. Certainly he's got a huge upside, but he's lower floor than other guys in this range.
By the way, amazing, Connor, to hear Jay Croucher just completely throw Puka under the bus. After the picture, again, Jay Croucher's, the four of us did an interview with Puka.
A great interview.
But the way it laid out is Puka was next to Jay on the table, and so his Twitter profile picture for 6 months was just Jay and Puka.
Yeah.
Like, cut us out. Like, apparently Connor and I didn't even exist there as well. So now,
you still don't.
yeah, I'm sure we don't. But the other thing about Puka here, anyway, we love Puka. Obviously, he's going to have a monster year, friend of the podcast. But to your point about risk, if you think about, Kyren Williams just got paid, and we know that when they get in close, they like to run. I mean, Kyren Williams gets all these touchdowns, and there may not be a better red zone wide receiver over the last 5 years than Davante Adams, right? And if there is, it's a very short list. So now I think there's a very easy argument to be made that when they're inside the 20, Puka is at best the third option to score on that team this year. Now you're dealing with the injuries. So I've got notes. I'll just show you. I got notes in my little sheet here about Puka Nacua. Let me read you the two notes that I have here for Puka. 21.8 points per game and 37% target share in his completed games last season. 17 or more fantasy points in 88% of his healthy games. Even the pro Puka notes have to have these health qualifiers to them. Anyway, we love Puka. I'm more.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah.
Well, you really wouldn't think Matthew and I exist.
Right, and you
Not
wouldn't
a
think
sight
that
of
Jay
us.
Croucher, just mere months after this picture, would be sitting on national TV trashing him.
I'm not slandering
talking
him.
about him.
I just don't want my boy getting hurt. I don't want my boy to have a quarterback, which I'm not sure he does. If it's
That really
beautiful
makes you
Jimmy G.
think,
Yeah, you can't trust
Jay's
Jay.
soulless.
Yeah, he's
Soulless.
Backup producer Pete's words were godless.
Godless. He is godless and soulless.
Yes.
Yes. He
Unbelievable.
He is everything
vicious
less.
terms.
He is godless. He is soulless, and thanks to Joe Flacco, he is moneyless.
It's true.
That's right.
Don't have much.
What do you have?
Yeah, the kids. That's it. Yeah.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Rotoworld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.